Good morning. It's Saturday morning. Today we're going to continue with Philippians 3. We're going to read from the middle of verse 8, the beginning of a sentence, through the end of verse 11, so not that much. For his sake, for Christ's sake, I have suffered the loss of all things, and count them as rubbish, in order that I may gain Christ, and be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from the law, but that which comes through faith in Christ, the righteousness from God that depends on faith, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection, and may share his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, that by any means possible I may attain the resurrection from the dead. So this continues the passage where he started off talking about all of his credentials and his past and his achievements and accomplishments in his history. And now he says, I've suffered the loss of all this. I don't care about all that. None of that mattered. And he counts him as rubbish. Now the word there for rubbish is a Greek word that we politely could translate dung, if you get what I'm saying. And so he really doesn't care about all of that. It's just like a dog mess in the yard, you know. He counts it all as rubbish, as something to be discarded, in order that what? He may gain Christ and be found in him. It's what we all want. Not having a righteousness of his own from the law, but a righteousness that comes through faith in Christ from God. And he wants that so that he can know Christ and the power of his resurrection and share in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death. So Paul sees that he's going to die, he's going to suffer, but in that he will be like Jesus, and so that's a good thing. He doesn't want it to happen, but he sees that it's a good thing when it does, and so he can be a part of the resurrection. So he counts all of his achievements, accomplishments, all the things that he's acquired as just rubbish. None of it matters. The only thing that matters to Paul, and should matter to us, is his faith. And so if we can't get that, second house in the mountains, or that other car, that brand new car, that, fancy car that we want, or those particular books that we love, or, all these things, if we can't get them, it's okay. It's okay. Let it go. The only thing that matters is Christ. Now, if you pressed Paul, he says, there are some times when he writes, he says, well, send so-and-so and don't forget the books, the manuscripts or parchments or whatever they were, and, bring my cloak. So he's got a few things that he needs and he uses and he values, but in general, he's not seeking wealth and riches and, a big house and all of that. He may be the exception rather than the rule. It may be that it's okay. I think it's okay to have a house and stuff. I mean, we have all this stuff that we use, 3 weeks a year, and we keep it and we polish it and we find a place for it, or we keep, all these tools and parts and things in the garage because something might break, So we have a lot of stuff. Now, the question is, how much stuff do we actually need? And to what extent does all of our stuff simply become something that distracts us from following Jesus, distracts us from being faithful Christians? Because a lot of it does. Our garages are so full of stuff, we can't get our cars in there, and yet we can't bear to throw anything away. And so we have all this pressure on us from all this stuff that ultimately doesn't really matter. So there's something to think about there. How much of what we own matters and how much of it is just rubbish. That's not really what Paul was saying in that passage, but I think it's a reasonable question to derive from that passage, and I think it's good for us to take stock sometimes and think about that. So I hope that you can do that today. I hope that you have a good day. It's a cold day, but I hope that you will have a wonderful Saturday, and we will see you here Monday morning.